Hello. I wanted to talk about clairvoyance and seeing things that other people can't see, and and how I think it works. I know I see things, still do, and so I'm just going to describe what I've seen and how it came about with me, and what you can expect or what to look for, and I think that'll help. One thing you might want to look into is trying to see auras around people, and that helps you get that focus on other things that can come around. Linda and I used to play a game when we go to a restaurant. We would go to a restaurant and the first thing we would do is say, okay, in this restaurant, who's got the brightest aura? And then we would look at the menu and we would order our food. And then by the time the food came, we would say, okay, who did you pick in here? And we would see if we got the same person. And it just gets you looking for that aura. And you'll start to search for it, the light around a person. But that's not the same as clairvoyance and seeing spirits. Or seeing any type of living thing that's not really there. And my experiences and how it worked with me, I think might throw a little insight in what to expect. One thing I'd like to say is that during the age of spiritualism, when photography first came out, and that was a magical thing when you could lock an image of somebody in a picture, and they came out with ghost photography back then, and that was also the time of spiritualism. Spiritualism was a time when spirits were supposed to be able to interact with people just like they were still here in the physical realm, and they could actually sit and talk with you. And if a spirit came to your place, let's say, and to see if you were there and you weren't there, but he went to your study, and on your desk you had a paper and pencil there, the spirit could actually write a letter with your pencil and paper saying, sorry, I missed you, it's Joey, and a letter would be there on your desk from the spirit. So this is what was supposedly being how spirits could actually interact with you just like they were alive. And I don't know, I've never had anything like that ever happen to me. I don't think it's true. For one thing, if Joey's dead and he would know I'm not at my study, so he wouldn't have to, oh, sorry, I missed you, Vince. Here's the letter to you. No, I don't know. And they didn't have telephones back then, so I guess the spirit couldn't call you on a spirit phone or something and say, hey, what are you doing? Hey, Joey, how you been? Well, I'm dead, but other than that, I'm okay. So I don't know. I don't. It doesn't really happen that way. And what I could say, what I will say is that, and I've never seen a seance work either. Back then, seances were big in that, and people still do seances, but I've never been in one where something actually happened. I've been in seances, but I've never seen anything really that impressed me as anything where somebody came through and we saw them. No. But I have seen spirits. And what I can tell you is that it's not like somebody can come and sit and talk with you. And they're there for a long time. When you see something on this clairvoyant image, a vision of some type of thing, a clairvoyant vision of anything, the only way I could really describe it is like a lightning flash. It's there for a second. It's just there, and you saw it, just like you see a bolt of lightning in the sky. You just saw it, and then it's gone. And it lasts about that long, too. That's about I would say that's a good analogy as far as how you see it is to your attention. You saw it and it's gone that quick. Well, what's interesting with it, lots of times when you have a vision like that, you also with that vision comes a lot of knowledge about what you're seeing, and you don't know where you're getting that from. And you know you just saw it and you know what it was. Sometimes you don't know what it was. But I've never had it where I was trying to summon something to me and it came. I just had things where all of a sudden they came. And I will say one thing: if you're a tarot reader, you're using that part of the mind that I think is where you get that information from. The right side of the mind, the right brain side, is I think your side that can develop that psychic awareness to see things or hear things or even touch things, feel things. I had one spirit touch me that I remember was just one. And I was laying in bed on my stomach and he poked me in the shoulder. And he said, "What are you doing?" Like I was doing something strange or wrong in my life. And I don't know what that message was, but he poked me in the shoulder, actually woke me up. Anyway, when you do have a vision of some type like that, lots of times it comes that quick. Like I said, lightning is a good way to put it. And but with it comes a lot of knowledge sometimes about what you're seeing. It could be a name. It could be what happened here with this person or something. But you'll have that too. And you won't know why you had it. It's just you do. And we don't know anything really about it where we can come to any type of verifiable facts. But we do know it does happen. And those have been my experiences, which just comes and goes. And I'm not expecting it to do that. I can't summon spirits. And so it doesn't work that way. It just doesn't work that way. At least not with me. I did have one vision that lasted longer than a flash of lightning, and only one. And I'm going to explain what that was here. I was painting a picture. Oh, I will say another thing. When you're alone a lot, if you had a weekend where you're not seeing other people and you're more in here than you're out there, you will you do raise your vibration to psychic awareness more, I think, if your head's in that space. And I will say, if you have the right side of the, like I said, it's the right side of the brain that we don't really use that much in our daily life with our jobs and things like this. But if you have the opportunity to stay there for a long period of time, you'll know you're developing it, because the right side of the brain is where your emotions come from too. And you'll have a lot of feeling for things, than more than you normally would, for people and compassion and life, animals, any life, plants. You'll start to develop this feeling of care. And that's when you know you're raising that level up. And this particular vision that I had that lasted longer than a lightning flash, I was alone for the whole weekend there. And I was painting a picture. I was painting a picture of this picture right here. It's called The Sorcerer. It might have other names, but this picture here is cave art. This picture is from about 15,000 BC, I think they say, and it's considered Paleolithic artwork. This elk person, or whatever you would want to call it, is binocular vision, looking right at you, standing up. And I was painting this picture too. I was listening to a music that I can't find anywhere anymore called Chris Jonky. Chris Jonky, I think was his name. Jonky. And I had a tape called Drums of Light. And it was all primitive percussion and rattles and things like that. Primitive music, primitive instruments. And that's all I listened to while I painted this picture of this sorcerer on a 28-inch canvas, I think it was, acrylic. And I painted this guy. And I remember thinking, every line I'm making on this canvas is the same exact lines that some cave person did in a cave 15,000 years ago. And I just got into it. And I was into this for a couple of days. When I was in that space, I would be up at night, all night. And it didn't take me all weekend to paint this thing, but I probably did spend the whole weekend really focused on this picture. I will say the colors, this is not my painting here. My painting had no white on the canvas when I was done. And it was, I would say I was using a lot of really earthy, deep colors. Raw sienna and a burnt green, and with a lot of dark browns and grays, dark grays instead of black. And I don't remember what I did. I don't have the painting anymore because I probably threw it away after moving or something, years later. So this was probably about 1990. I did that. And then when I was done painting it, I hung it on the wall, and I had that music going from Chris Jonky, Drums of Light. And I'm looking at this painting. And as I'm looking at this painting, this guy started dancing. And I must have watched him dance for me, looking right at me with those eyes. I don't know how long. It might have been a minute. Might have been half a minute. Might have been a minute. I don't know what it was. But I just know I was just watching. And it was like really entertaining to me. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. He was dancing on that canvas. Now, it might have just been I was overtired. I'm sure that the spirit didn't come and dance on the canvas, but for some reason I was seeing this. And I can't explain why. But I won't forget him staring, just dancing, looking right at me, dancing for me to that music. What a trip. I really can't explain anything about clairvoyance. I can just tell you how it worked with me. And that's the only time that I ever saw something longer than a flash of lightning, or heard something that lasted about as long as a flash of lightning. But I know that the things I've seen and heard, a lot of them were verified. And I know they were real. So I would say if the more time you could spend on the right side of the brain, the right brain thinking, which is your creative side. There I was doing a painting. And tarot is a creative thing. And the less distraction of the left side of the brain, your everyday affairs, your job, watching TV and things like this. More you could stay in your mind here on the right side of the mind and get creative and imaginative. The more you spark that opening, a crack into what we know as intuition or psychic awareness, clairvoyance, all of it. And one of the signs you're getting there is a deep feeling for things that you'll have. You'll start to have that. And I really think that in order to get into that state, you need more than a half an hour. You need a couple days. So call work and tell them you're not going to be around for a while. You might lose your job, but you know, hey, you get psychic awareness. Anyway, no, don't get in trouble. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that. That's what happens with me. That's how I've had this happen. I've also had out of body experiences, and again, it's the same type of thing. Also, I'll say another thing: getting close to nature. So if in those times when I was by myself, lots of times in the morning, I would get my coffee and I would take a walk to this one area. It was Argonne National Laboratories, which is a science research area. And they have some trails. It's all forest that you could take these trails through their area. And I would go through there. And it would spend an hour just going through there and looking at life other than what we're used to seeing. And that helps you get out into a frame of mind where you're accepting something than what you're normally used to seeing. You start to feel life. You can feel life in a tree. You just feel life. You start to understand it more. And those are signs that you're putting yourself in that space where you can start to see other things around you that can't be picked up in photography. And if other people were around you, they wouldn't see what you're seeing. Again, we're still in the Paleolithic era, like this cave painting, when it comes time to our knowledge of intuition, clairvoyance, psychic awareness, astral projection, and things like this. We don't really know. We're still very primitive with that. Someday we'll understand more. But in the meantime, that's all we have to work with. And if you want to develop that, those are the guidelines I say you need to do. Isolation, stay on the right side of the brain, do something creative and be alone. And get more connected with nature. And you'll start to see something after a couple of days. You'll start to see results. You might not see something, you'll start to feel different. And that's a sign that you're on the right track there. If you can do that every now and then, the more you do it, the more something like this can come to you, even when you're not in that state. Or when you're in it, you don't even know you're in it. Because it comes to you when you least expect it. You just, wow, I just saw that. So anyway, I thought I'd share that with you. And learning tarot cards is another good way to develop that side of the mind. And again, the more you're there, the more psychic awareness you'll start to develop. Our next tarot group, social group, is the 17th, 2 days from now, 12 o'clock Chicago time. Link down below, tarotmaps.com. Go right to the Zoom meeting. All are welcome. And maybe I'll see you there. Keep throwing cards. We'll talk soon. Bye.